400 feet on the Gulf of Mexico. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths with all the amenities. $45,500 to $47,000. Pool, jacuzzi, shuffleboard, and putting green. B.J. Rodnock said, "We owned at the Gulf Mariner. Steve watched this building from day one. He climbed the scaffolding looking for the best view." He put a deposit on number 401, then decided on 710. Then he decided to buy both. By that time, 401 was gone. Denny Henneberry and his parents moved in 1975. We were the only ones on the floor except for number 111. Gordon and Barbara Hancock said, "We bought in 1975. I needed it like a hole in the head, but we've loved it here ever since." Lee Holmes said, "My wife Pat and I and our daughter lived in a house in Indian Rocks Beach. The upkeep on the lawn and house just got to be too much, and there were 12 tennis courts across from the Shore Mariner." They were followed by the McGees, Hardings, Rathmans, and others. Sam Grand said, "My sister was married to Jack White, one of the developers. She said if I bought an apartment, she would decorate it. So I did, and she did." Evelyn Paul said, "Friends came over from Tampa one weekend and then said, 'Why don't the 4 of us buy one?' It was a beach place for weekends and vacations." Amos Kelly said, "Some friends from Tampa owned here and I bought number 309, one of 3 left." About 75% of the owners were young professionals from Tampa who used it for the weekends and vacations and rented in the winter. They partied. The developers were still on site and in control. You could do just about anything you wanted to. They were just interested in selling the place and filling it up, said Gordon Hancock. The Shore Mariner was always an adult community with no children under age 14 allowed. This was pretty much ignored. Young children were a constant source of irritation. They even rode tricycles on the walkway. There were kids everywhere. Things were different on the beach then. Sand everywhere, little cottages, no Park Boulevard bridge. Condo living was new, as the new board discovered in February 1976 when the developers turned the condo over to the association. They learned they did not own the manager's apartment, 211A, and they owed the developer $100,000 for furnishings. Lawsuits were filed. To make matters worse, owners were not paying their maintenance fees, including the developers who still lived here. Liens were threatened. At one time, there was $206 in the bank, and the bills approached $4,000. Repairs were needed on the pool, parking lot, and roof. Legal fees were mounting, $7,500. Owners were asked to pay maintenance fees in advance if they could. Some did. Security was hired for Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Beach Week. One board member bought supplies until the association could repay him. Lee Holmes said, "I made up my mind in 1977 when I was president that I was going to collect those back fees, and I did. I went door to door. Most people were nice and paid. Still, it wasn't enough." The first special assessment was levied in June 1977 for $19,884. For 2 bedrooms, that was $166. The board met frequently, sometimes weekly and on Sunday. One meeting started at 7:30 and ended at midnight. Due to numerous interruptions and unsolicited comments from the floor, it was impossible to conduct an orderly meeting. Any future instances will result in legal proceedings. Meanwhile, volunteers planted trees, shrubs, and flowers. Lounge chairs were bought for the pool. At a board meeting, an owner asked for a treadmill in the exercise room. The answer was no, but a donation would be welcome. The early years were tumultuous, filled with near bankruptcy, lawsuits, acrimony over proportionate assessments, and raucous behavior ranging from serious vandalism to cherry bombs off the walkways, beer cans in the jacuzzi and pool. In 1978, the vandalism got out of hand. Board President Pete Folio wrote a full-page letter to the board listing the violations. It's been a long, hot summer faced with constant disruptions day and night, 7 days a week. Multiple fire alarms, closing Gulf Boulevard and the Shore Mariner, tires slashed, windshields broken, mailroom lock broken, no mail delivery that day, the grill and lights left on, lobby air conditioner turned down to 60, and on and on. The board agreed that the rules would be rigidly enforced starting September 1st. There was some justification for it, said Gordon Hancock. They made a point of vigorously enforcing those rules. It wasn't just writing them down and forgetting about them. Pete Folio and Leo Leonardi Sr. were two board members who fought to keep this like a residential place, not a hotel, said Denny Henneberry. The Tampa owners would come over to have fun, and they didn't want to hear anything about rules. There was a virtual revolving door with the resident husband-wife managers who occupied 211A as part of their salary. Throughout their departures, Denny, who worked at his father's used car lot, was always available to fix this or that and to fill in. The managers received 5% of the rental fees, and some spent more time helping renters than doing their job. Finally, in 1978, a board member asked Joe Chatham, who had a real estate license, to take over the rentals and sales. She was reluctant, but finally agreed. About this same time, Denny was hired for 30 hours a week with contractors for janitorial services and lawn and pool upkeep. The rest is history. Lee Holmes said that throughout all the difficulties there was a sense of community and of camaraderie. There were lots of parties and we always danced, said Hank DeLenga. We had Valentine's Day dances, a Super Bowl party, we went to opening games of baseball spring training, and we had shuffleboard tournaments. And we had a golf club, said Hank, with about 12 members from here and others from Gulf Mariner. I didn't play, but I was the 19th hole, fixing lunch for $2.50, hot dogs, chips, and beer. The ladies dressed up for bridge every Wednesday afternoon, and the men played poker or gin around the pool most every day. Ida Leonardi, Edna Folio, and Jean Henneberry headed the social committee, where Jean served until her final illness in 2004. Two prints in the rec room acknowledge her contributions. Renters have helped make the Shore Mariner a good place to live. At one time there were 60 renters. There were so many I wasn't sure I could fit all the names on the entry directory, said Denny. When they discovered the Shore Mariner, they never wanted to go anyplace else, said Hank DeLenga, himself a renter for 8 years before he could persuade wife Mary to leave friends and family up north and buy number 209. Like Hank, several renters did become owners, and some owners who've left still miss it and return to visit old friends. Owners and renters visit one another up north. After 35 years, the early camaraderie, the sense of community, are both still strong. Every owner insists that he or she has the very best view. All agree we have the prettiest courtyard on the beach, the best maintained property, and the friendliest people. Who wouldn't want 2 bedrooms, 2 baths on 400 feet of the beautiful Gulf of Mexico at the Shore Mariner? For 3 days over the 1985 Labor Day weekend, Hurricane Elena stalled off the coast of west central Florida and held it virtual hostage. More than 300,000 residents fled their homes. St. Petersburg Times. Shore Mariners were among these evacuees. The fire department and the police came and said, "You have to leave. Get out," said Joe Chatham. So Jay and I went over to our daughters. When she saw us, she said, "Where are your bags?" I didn't think we'd be there that long, but she said it might be 2 to 3 days or longer. So Jay went back and got some clothing for us. At least one Shore Mariner did not leave, Amos Kelly. I'd just returned from Alaska with lots of good fish I'd caught up there. I wasn't going to leave them here to spoil, so I stayed. The building did lose power, but the fish survived, said Amos. Evelyn Paul, a nurse anesthesiologist at St. Joseph's Hospital in Tampa, did evacuate to a friend's. Then they had to evacuate from there, so they went to St. Joe's, where they knew there was a generator. They took us in, employees and family. The halls were filled with people on carts, in wheelchairs, and on oxygen, because the other hospitals didn't have power. Elena caused a tidal wave to come down the beach from the north, and our seawall actually collapsed outward, said Gordon Hancock. It was reinforced from the front, but there was no reinforcement from the back, because everybody expected the high tide would hit it head on. At the Shore Mariner, the sustained waves pushed behind the seawall, taking out the pool, jacuzzi, shuffleboard court, putting green, and the landscaping. Worrisome was the damage to the south end of the building. When Elena washed out the pool, it also washed out under Building 5 and the parking lot. You could actually walk under the parking lot. One of the owners knew somebody in Tampa, and 2 weeks later they were out here building it, said Denny Henneberry. It was winter, and all the renters were here, but they just sat around the pool deck playing cards. It cost about $200,000 to get things back like they used to be. Thank goodness for insurance. After Elena, it was almost a year before everything was put back. 2 more storms came a couple months after Elena, Kate and Juan, before the seawall was completed. The seawall was partially washed out and sand filled the pool again. The seawall we've got now is probably the best on the beach, said Denny. Stormy weather wasn't over for the Shore Mariner, the no-name storm, March 13, 1993. The storm blew in at midnight with a speed of 45 miles per hour, gusting to 75 miles, creating havoc for 30 hours, Evelyn Paul wrote in her journal. The surf was 15 to 20 feet high and moved the sand onto the seawall, into the pool, and on the deck chairs, tables, lounges, and settled on the condo walls. 20 units reported damage to screens, railings, and frames. Landscaping took another hit. Residents helped remove sand from the pool and the furniture. The board thanked Gordon and Barbara Hancock and Barbara and Bob Turnbull for their hard work in cleaning up the pool. Still, the elements weren't finished with the Shore Mariner. On August 11, 1993, 2 barges and a tanker collided near Egmont Key, fouling 13 miles of beaches, including Redington Shores. We had tar balls on the beach for a couple of months. What a mess. People tracked it everywhere, around the pool, in the pool, the walkways, everywhere. It lasted for a couple of months and then just dissipated, said Denny. Through financial hardships, serious vandalism, lawsuits, and storms, Shore Mariners have met the challenge.